And away we go. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome one and all to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today. We'll take a look at some clips from the news and share a little bit of dialogue with those of you who are able to join us for the live portion. And if you are listening anywhere else and you would like to join the live portion, you can find us Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, most of the time on Coffee Talk on YouTube, and that is at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. Those are the ampersands or at persands for that. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta, and you can find me on Rumble, Coffee Talk 2 with the number 2 as we get ready to jump off here on Friday. That's right. It is the end of the week for a lot of people, being kept company here by Granny Smith, who is sleeping in the chair behind me, and Miss Kitty, who is sleeping right across my desk, half on the keyboard and half over the mouse pad, with her arm through the stand for the camera. So yeah, I'm kind of trapped here. I've got the mouse out from under her, and it's on the side of the table. But and there goes, see, there it goes, honey. Okay, it's all right there. I can't show her to you because I can't move the camera stand, but that was her pushing it over. I'll go ahead and say hello to some of the people that are able to join us for the live portion here. See, Helter is with us today, as well as Dragon, Marvel fan, Bob, Jeff, Brian, David, and JJ. Legend says, saw the recent mail video, still enjoy the content, old format and new, just struggled to join due to my work schedule. I'm supposed to be off today, however, coming in at 5 EST for overtime. Okay, well, glad you could make it. Cyberjack Sr. is here, thumbs up. He says, please do. Yeah, of course, I've got two independent videos up. I've got one on Coffee Talk, which is the viewer mail hate bag or hooligan mail, where people try to insult me for having talking points. And then on the Prepper University channel, there is a video that went up today talking about pantries. And it's and the EU and their 72-hour warning to have 72 hours worth of food stockpiled. I see Bo is here, as well as Tuck, and Zephael says, no, there's no OnlyFans. I don't do that one. And Puck is here. OnlyFans is like pornography or some bullshit, right? Yeah, it's not for me. Oh, by the way, got sanctioned yesterday. I got sanctioned yesterday. If you have not seen yesterday's video, yesterday's podcast, and you go and watch it now, it's been changed. It's been altered. It's like 4 minutes shorter than the actual podcast. So if you watched it yesterday and you watch it again today, it's different because ScrewTube cut 4 minutes out of it. On both channels, on Prepper University and Coffee Talk, they nailed me for, actually, it was the video, for those of you who were watching yesterday, the video footage of the brawl at the Disneyland theme park. They sanctioned me for it, and they clipped it out. They clipped it out. It reminds me of a comment I got about a week ago on an older video, where on Coffee Talk with a guy, I think it was Coffee Talk, and he says, I've never seen a channel get shadow banned so bad. And it's not even a big channel. Coffee Talk's not that big. It's like less than 13,000 subscribers, right? And then Prepper U is like 66. And Raccoon is here. He says, wow, that's messed up. Darn, I wanted to show my boyfriend that video. I think it's been cut. It's been removed from yesterday's podcast completely, because they sent me a message about it, and then the message disappeared. Tuck said, that's nuts. That fight video had been everywhere at some point. Yeah, Yeah, and Puck wondered if I was going to get in trouble for that. I guess you can't showcase overweight people of color fighting. Um, that's not permissible apparently. But yeah, that's how they do me. You already know, screw tube. That's why I call it screw tube. Constantly beating the hell out of me. Before we get to the purpose of the thumbnail here, just a couple of points. All people said your entire video was removed or just that one section. No, just the section. It was clipped. The rest of the video is up, but it's like I noticed this morning. I was like, I'm pretty sure this video, that podcast was 4 or 5 minutes longer, and apparently they clipped that section out or blanked it out. They did something to it. They did something to it, but the video's shorter now. That's how they do you. That's how they do you. They shadow ban the piss out of you for nothing. I'm not liked. I'm on their list. I'm on their blacklist, I guess. Before we get to the thumbnail, Western Journal article: Republicans help Democrats pass a bill to block Trump tariffs 24 hours after Canadian leader wanted to give Trump everything. That's right, Canada, as well as Mexico, a few other countries, Israel, are ready to just bail. They're ready to just fold up. They're ready to fold up. And Flukeman has joined us. And now they're trying to block this. So President Trump has that. Kitty, I think you're sitting on the space bar there. Could you move? President Trump has the founding fathers on his side because the founding fathers, like Trump, always put America first. As for a handful of Senate Republicans who opposed Trump's America First tariffs on Canada, Senator Susan Collins of Maine, Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and Senators Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul from Kentucky. Paul at least may cite he sincerely held yet deeply flawed and unhistorical comment to libertarian trade principles, whereas the other three have only an acute case of Trump derangement syndrome. I gotta hold on a second. I've got to move the keyboard because she's just doing too much here. She's sprawled out across the whole thing now and won't move. So basically, and that was Wednesday morning, I guess, in the House of Representatives, they moved to block Trump from putting tariffs specifically against Canada, which is ridiculous because Canada was ready to throw in the towel. It's virtue signaling. This is why I talk about this kind of stuff. This is virtue signaling at its finest because they're powerless. You move to block it, it gets pushed from one house to the next, and then eventually, if it gets passed again, it'll end up in front of the president, and he'll just veto it. So you're wasting your time. You're wasting our tax dollars, and it's just embarrassing. It's virtue signaling. You know it's not going anywhere. You know it's not going anywhere. Why bother? Because you know that most people don't realize how that system works, and you're taking advantage of that. JD says with the new tariffs, there's going to be plenty of scratch to be made smuggling stuff into America. Could be. Could be. Could be. It goes on to point out here something akin to what I just said. The measure, therefore, all right, here we go. Republicans in the House of Representatives seem unlikely to concur in the resolution. Even if they did, Trump himself certainly would not sign it, i.e. veto. The measure, therefore, can have no practical effect besides slowing Trump's tariff-related momentum and endangering intra-party bitterness. Foreigners, of course, love what the four GOP dissidents did, which makes it all the more, oh, good Lord, all the more reprehensible. That article's bouncing a lot. I'm going to close it. But even before he started imposing it, it was working because it was bringing manufacturing back to the country, which is one of the main goals, is to bring manufacturing back to the United States. It's also again, case in point, reciprocal, these countries are already imposing tariffs against the United States. So we are reciprocating. You're doing it to us, we're going to do it to you. And not even as bad, roughly 50%, roughly half of what they're already charging us. In most cases, the only places where it was matched is where it was dead even at a minimum of 10%. A minimum of 10%. And Chris said, says the smuggler, I get a case of pure uncut maple. Yeah, maple syrup. And Tuck says, I've already started a smuggling operation. I'm opening a chain of stores called Dollar Shrub. Dollar Shrub. There you go. No trees for you. No trees for you. Dollar Seeds. It's just a waste of time. It's virtue signaling. It's annoying. Absolutely annoying that they bother with all of that in the first place. But again, like I said, most people, they're counting on the fact that most people don't understand how all of that works. They don't know what a tariff or a tariff, different pronunciation. They don't know what it is. They don't know what it means. They don't know what the rules are. And they don't understand how government works. So yeah, these guys can sit there and piss and moan now, but it's going to go nowhere. It's just like the article that we read earlier in the week about the university graduates tearing up their diplomas in protest at Berkeley. It was at Berkeley because of the arrest of someone who was stirring up mess on the campus. Tearing up, okay, so you tore up your diploma. If it was your diploma, who gives a damn? Actually, you don't even need the diploma. If you go to a job and they want anything pertaining to your college record, all they ask for is a transcript. And a diploma can be easily replaced. It's all just show. It means nothing. JJ said it should be interesting to see how the tariff war with China pans out. And Guardian has joined us. Glad you could make it today, Guardian. This is interesting, and this should be in the news, and it's not, okay? And this is from Cars Coops online magazine. This is how deep I had to dig for this story, okay? Road rage against Tesla Cybertruck. All right? And look at this guy. Look at this guy. You can find the actual video footage for this as well. I hesitate to show it after what happened yesterday. But here you go. Lexus driver goes full road rage on Cybertruck, okay? No shortage. Don't do that. All right. No shortage. It's an LX. So let's be honest. It gets the best of us all now and then. Nevertheless, when you're behind the wheel, keeping your emotions in check isn't just good manners. It's basic safety. When things spiral, you end up with situations like this, a Lexus driver pulling what appears to be a holstered firearm on a Tesla driver in broad daylight. Now, I don't think there's a video clip. Oh, there is a video clip. I'll show it. I'll play it without the audio, okay? And you can see the pistol here. It was not a holstered pistol. That is a firearm. It's one of the ones, some of you who are gun enthusiasts, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like a little box. You put it in your pocket. It looks like a wallet, and you fold the handle out. That's what he has. Because his plate is visible, they have found and arrested this person, okay? And they are on the freeway. He's not just out in the street. So this guy's going 80 miles an hour, brandishing a gun out of his window at a Tesla driver. All right, I'm going to play the video clip. I know some of you are listening and can't see, but here we go. There's the video clip. Driving alongside, yelling, okay? And this is the video footage that comes from the mirror next to on the Tesla, because you know this wraparound video. And he's 80 miles an hour. The Tesla driver keeps accelerating to move ahead of him, because he's like, why is this guy weaving around at my back wheel? And here comes the gun. Here comes the gun. And now he accelerates again. Now watch. Loses control of the Lexus. He almost crashed. He almost crashed. And now he's behind the vehicle. But because the person's face was fully visible, and because the license plate was fully visible in this video, and you see how reckless he is here, trying to get back alongside the Tesla, all right, the police were able to catch him. The police did catch this person, and he was arrested. And there was nothing in the video footage, the earlier footage, which is not shown here, to demonstrate that the person driving the Tesla did anything at all. This guy just decided to be an asshole. And Jimmy Slim is here. Glad you could make it today. This is really accelerating. There has also been additional incidences, and I'm not going to show the clips from it because you've already seen enough, I'm sure. The vandalism by way of smearing feces on Tesla vehicles is accelerating. It's accelerating. Mostly, it's with dog poop. People walking their dog and they got the little shit bag that they carry. It's mostly dog poop. It's not as severe as the guy that we saw who was crapping in his hand. But this is accelerating. And it's getting out of control. This guy, and you're driving a Lexus. What are you, stupid? And you're going to hang a 75, 80 miles an hour, you're going to hang a gun out of your window because someone has the audacity to be driving a Tesla. Marble Fan says these stupid people by now should know that, yeah, there's cameras. It shows how insane they are. Yeah, this wraparound cameras all the way around these Teslas. You can't do anything to them without getting caught up. And Zafel, if I'm pronouncing that right, he says, don't these idiots know all Teslas are basically 360-degree surveillance platforms? Exactly. Tuck said he's very lucky the driver wasn't carrying. Well, I mean, if that was me and I was carrying, I don't think I would want to get into a shootout in a car moving that fast. I would either accelerate. I would accelerate so that he's forced to catch up. A little defensive driving trick here, real quick. I would accelerate, forcing him to accelerate, and then I would decelerate rapidly. And hopefully there's no one directly behind me, but I would decelerate rapidly because then he's going too fast and he's probably going to look away. It would cause him to get into an accident rather than trying to pull on him. You know what I mean? Marble Fan says, my God, if I was driving and someone did this to me and my wife, it would probably turn bad. I don't blame you. JD says, yeah, but they always edit those videos to make the party look like an innocent victim. Look how many times they do that with police brutality. Kimberly has joined us. JD wants to know where this happened. I believe it was Texas. Was this Texas? I want to say it was Texas. And I'm just trying to read ahead here real quick to see if it says here. Yes, Texas. Texas. Brian says, next person's car he tries smear crap with, make him eat it. Yeah, right. Zafil says, I'm not sure it was a pistol. To me, it looked like a taser and a holster. I suppose it could have been a firearm, but who knows? Yeah, and I can see where you would say that. I thought it was one of the fold-out ones. I'm thinking it's one of the fold-out ones. It could be a taser, which would be stupid anyways. And Guardian says, I've seen people saying they want to buy Teslas now as an act of rebellion against those who hate them. And that's just the thing. I mean, you don't like Tesla, don't buy one. Don't buy one. And why are you protesting this in other countries? Again, the Tesla dealership in Italy that was set on fire by a Korean guy. And we read that story earlier in the week. Why are you protesting Doge in Italy? You can't. I mean, what the hell? And Chillin has joined us. Chillin Dave. As we shift around here, and we're going to get to the purpose of the thumbnail now. We'll get to the purpose of the thumbnail here. And forgive me being a little choppy. Again, I've got Miss Kitty is just all over the place here, making a mess out of my entire setup. Hold on a second. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'll take a picture real quick. I think I'll take a picture. Here we go. There. See, she's shoved her way in all over the place, and I barely have space to operate here. She's being real clingy today. Really clingy today. But moving on to the purpose of the thumbnail now. Moving on to the thumbnail, which of course is a shot from Fort Knox, allegedly. And this is something that, and be a 3% man here says, funny it happened in Texas, there's more guns there than population. Yeah, it sure looks that way, doesn't it? I don't know why he'd want to take the risk. Fox Business article. Elon Musk says Fort Knox gold reserves should be live streamed. I agree. Will it happen? Not likely. And I'm going to get into this. I'd be shocked if he can get all the way into Fort Knox, if he can even get into Fort Knox, let alone film it, and God forbid live stream it. God forbid live stream it. Okay? So Tesla CEO, Department of Government Efficiency head Elon Musk said Sunday he voiced his support for setting up a live stream of Fort Knox and its gold reserves. In response to questions about Musk checking on the gold at Fort Knox, the billionaire said he thought it would be awesome to live stream Fort Knox. Fort Knox's U.S. bullion depository is one of several places across the country where the U.S. government keeps gold reserves, which is located in Kentucky. You might have seen it in the movie Goldfinger. Well, you saw the outside of it in Goldfinger. The inside was actually on a movie studio set. Quote from Musk, I mean, that would be really fun. And after all, it's this is bouncing a lot today. This is very aggravating to try to keep track of this. I mean, it would be really fun. And after all, it's actually the gold of the American people. So the American people, it seems to me, have the right to see their gold. Hopefully, it looks really cool, you know, opens the door like, is it there? Is that really gold? Let's check. Maybe it'll be really interesting. And that's Musk talking. Now, conspiracy theories are, you know, one of the big ones that there isn't any gold in there. Okay? That it's been pilfered out of there a long time ago by facets of the U.S. government. That's one of the biggest conspiracy theories flying around. And John has joined us, John Pushin, if I pronounce that correctly. Tuck says, I wouldn't be surprised if the gold in Fort Knox was just clad ingots of iron or lead. Luke Man wants to know if cats are more clingy when they're pregnant. Sometimes they can be more reclusive. It depends on the cat. She's not pregnant, though. Frankie says it's stupid anyway. Anything 9mm or less would not penetrate the body of a Cybertruck, but it would, of course, with the windows, naturally. Okay. Kimberly would want to test every gold bar in there. Now, here's what I know off the top of my head. Okay. And, you know, feel free to look it up, see if I'm right. As near as I can tell, all right, here's the thing. Only Fort Knox audits itself. It is one of the many facets of government with zero oversight, which is why Doge was created in the first place. FBI, CIA, Department of Justice, the ATF, IRS, Environmental Protection Agency, USAID, all of those organizations and 400 others, because there's more than 400 organizations in government, all right? They do everything in-house. There's no oversight, which is why they've gotten to be so corrupt, which is why when Doge starts digging its claws into USAID and Department of Education and FEMA now, they find a huge mess and they find money missing and they find no paper trail, and it's like, what the hell? It's because they test themselves. They audit themselves. Okay. And just like with USAID, and we read this article a couple of weeks ago, there were audits from USAID with huge questions like, hey, this is not right at all. Why are we doing this way? But USAID was like, yeah, oh, that's too bad. Here, shred these. Because they don't give a shit, because they know they're doing things wrong and they know they're corrupt. All right. Now DOJ, an outside agency, is looking at everybody. And the Department of Treasury, and by default, Fort Knox is the same way. They conduct their own audit where they check their own boxes and say, hey, everybody, don't worry, it's all good. Now, to my knowledge, the only times anybody has actually been allowed in the building who is not part of Fort Knox was 1953, when reporters were allowed to look in the building. 1974, I want to say, 1974, 1975, somewhere in there. Reporters, again, were allowed to look in the building. And then at one time in the late 90s, the governor of Kentucky and his entourage was allowed to enter the building. Okay. And that was completely unofficial. That was not, there was no reporters there. No photographs, no film were permitted at the time that I'm aware of. Okay. And I'm just going to, Puck says, what's the holdup auditing Fort Knox anyway? Because they don't want anyone but them to do it. Frankie says the gold bars are Hershey's Nuggets. Hey, I'll take some Hershey's Nuggets. John says we investigated ourselves and found no wrongdoing. Exactly. Fluke Man, how many decades of corruption do you think Dodge goes back to? Or Doge. I hope they go back as far as they possibly can. We'll see. Because they're only just starting to crack the surface, quite frankly. Now, in those three incidences, the main takeaway, all right, and again, feel free to look any of this up yourself, because I might be off on the dates or whatever. The same three things happened, or four things, okay? I read the interviews from the 50s and the 70s, the news reporter stories, and I listened to an interview with the governor of Kentucky from I think it was the 90s, late 90s, who was talking about the tour. And they all had the same four talking points. They were weighed. They were weighed going in and weighed going out to make sure they couldn't steal anything, like you're going to, put a gold brick in your pocket. They were showed a gold bar that's for demonstration purposes. They were showed a double-headed eagle coin, one of the rarest coins on earth, and they were allowed to look through the door of a vault. A vault door was opened and it had a cage behind it, and they were allowed to stand at a distance and view the room through the bars to demonstrate that vault had gold in it. No one can demonstrate that they have actually seen the gold in Fort Knox, which is why people believe there might be nothing there. Legend says, good news. Been trying to rehab my little dog to be around other small dogs. I've learned she likes calm dogs like Shih Tzus. However, hyper dogs, not so much. And Be a Man says 147.3 million ounces of gold is supposed to be there. That's what Kimberly is saying. Be a Man said half of all the U.S. Treasury is in Fort Knox. Yeah, or so we're told. And that's why he wants to stream it, but they're not going to allow that. They're going to quote, it's for security purposes that you cannot film or photograph inside the building. Okay? Even though it's protected by an entire military base with somewhere around 24,000 personnel on duty, if I remember correctly. Okay. Chris says, is that a gold brick in your pocket? Are you happy to see me? You know what that reminds me of? Going down a bunny trail real quick. When I was working for UPS, there was an accident with a case of books, and it was one of the Harry Potter books. Going to a bookstore, and it was a case of like 24 volumes. You know, one of the big books, looks like a phone book. You know what I'm talking about. And it burst open, and they collected them so they could repack it. And one was missing. And as we were leaving, they were searching us. And, you know, we're all in t-shirts, jeans, and work boots leaving the building. And I'm like, where the hell am I going to put a book that big? It's like carrying a freaking lunchbox. You think it's in my they want us to pull our pant legs up and untuck our shirt. You think I've got a book in my sock, you piece of shit. That pissed me off so bad, especially since management could sideline the security desk when they left with bags. They could be carrying backpacks, everything. Management didn't have to go through that, only union employees. Frankie says, was the gold bar stamped for demonstration purposes only? I don't think so. It was just a gold bar on like a little Lazy Susan, you know, so they could show, oh, this is what a gold bar actually looks like. This is how heavy it actually is. That sort of thing. Fluke Man says they couldn't put a gold bar in their pockets, but assuming they can scrape bars for dust or shavings. Yeah, I guess. They used to call that clipping. And that's something that that used to happen in places where they minted coins in real gold or real silver. And people would shave an edge and try to drop it into like the cuff of their pants. And in England, actually, once upon a time, that was a hanging offense. If you were caught with any shavings from working at the mint, you would be hung. Where am I here? Nash says most stuff inside job from management, and they blame the little guys to cover up. Oh, most stuff is an inside job for management, you mean? JJ says, I doubt there's as much gold there as they claim. It doesn't matter anyways. We don't buy things with gold. We use monopoly money. There you go. And Puck says, can we do an FOIA request for all documents related to Fort Knox? You can if you want to spend like $80,000 and get like 92% of it redacted. And B, a 3% says, how much you want to bet it has a Nazi eagle on the bars? I'm sure they would have recast those by now. But it would be interesting to see if an outside audit was ever done, because it's never been done. Decades, damn near a century. There's never been an outsider involved in an audit. And only 3 times that I'm aware of has anybody been allowed to even enter the building. I don't trust it. But you know, it's not just our gold there. Not just our gold there, which I think is also very interesting. And we're gonna jump, since you brought up Nazis, to Germany via the Telegraph. Germany considers withdrawing 1,200-ton gold stockpile from the U.S. in retaliation against Trump. And my immediate question here, well, my point is, first of all, I mean, they want to get even with Trump for the tariffs, even though they're already imposing tariffs against the United States anyways. Trump was just countering Germany's tariffs by 50%. But why the hell is your gold here anyway? If it's Germany's gold, Germany needs to be holding it. It's kind of funny to me that other countries send us their gold, and they'll have a time getting it back. It will be very difficult for them to recover it because other countries have tried, and the Treasury makes it extremely difficult. Getting into the article here, Germany is considering removing an enormous stockpile of gold from a vault in New York over worries about Trump's unpredictable policies. For decades, Berlin has stashed 1,200 tons of its famous gold reserve, the second largest on the planet after those of the United States, in a vault deep underground at the U.S. Federal Reserve Building in Manhattan. You remember they robbed that in, what was it, Die Hard 3? Was it Die Hard 3? Now, senior figures from the conservative Christian Democratic Union Party, it's always a union party in Germany, you notice that, which is set to lead the next German government, has discussed removing it from New York because of concerns that Washington is no longer a reliable partner. Of course, the question has arisen again, according to Marco van der Witz, a former German minister who gave up his CDU seat. Hold still. Of course, the question has arisen again. Mr. van der Witz has long advocated for a policy that would allow German officials to regularly inspect the gold or for withdrawing it completely. And the problem with that, as far as inspecting the gold, when you have it stored in the United States and you're a foreign national, they won't even let you see it. They won't even let you see it. Okay. Puck says, last time I requested info from National Archives, $10 for everything they had, no pages to infinity. Well, you remember the article we read a little while ago, a couple of weeks back, of a woman that was being charged like $87,000 for discovery because they were charging by the page. Tuck says, good, I would have sent all foreign gold back to the owners anyways. Why do we pay to guard their gold? Zayfiel says, I doubt there's any security that would be compromised by people being on site at Fort Knox. That's true. Again, especially Fort Knox. I mean, there's an entire military base there, a big one. Kitty, you knocked over my camera again. Oh, my goodness. Kitty. All right. He goes on to say it's just an excuse against transparency. JJ says 1,200 tons of gold should come out to $112.7 billion. Incredible. All People says a YouTube video shows a 1980s scam of tabloid reporter Geraldo Rivera making America watch him live tape opening the vault of a gangster, Al Capone, and they were empty. I wonder if I remember when he did that. There were like bottles and things in there, right? There was nothing in the vault. And he was opening that up for hours. Tuck says Clinton's gave missile tech to China and sold uranium to Russia, but now the U.S. is unreliable. Okay, yeah, indeed. As I catch up a couple of comments here. Armored Ghost is here. Says Germany needs its gold to fund the Ukraine. Perfect. And 3% says, you know things are going to be bad when the Germans are demanding to have their gold back. But again, that's one of the big arguments. First of all, yeah, take your gold. Why the hell are you storing your gold in a foreign country in the first place instead of at home? It should be in your own country, under your own security, in your own vaults. Why are you keeping it here? I've read articles in the past, years ago, of other countries that have gold stored here, demanding to at least have an envoy or an emissary be allowed to even see it, and being denied. You think they're just gonna pack your gold up and ship it to you? Good luck. You'll get it in about 10 years. Flukeman says Poland exported the gold during World War II to avoid falling in the wrong hands. That's probably why Germany has it in the U.S. Soviet Union is gone, but the threat of invasion never goes away. And Guardian says, let's pretend I did not say this, but I wonder if people will think of the heist opportunity in transporting that much gold back to Germany. It's too hard to move. That much? I mean, that stuff's heavy. It's heavy. It's bulky. I mean, it's like transporting brick. Not even bricks aren't that heavy. Gold is heavy. Gold is heavy. It would, to steal that much, you know how much heavy equipment you would need to even move it? Kitty! Wow, she is just being a menace today. Sweetheart. Stop dragging the camera. You're killing me. You're killing me. Tuck says Geraldo Rivera, aka Jerry Rivers. And Zafiel says I could see Germany wanting gold in USA since they're so close to Russia. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I get the point, but I really think they ought to take care of it themselves. I really think they ought to be taking care of it themselves. As we move around here to another article, and this is going to be an Animal Planet article. Animal Planet, talking about the EPA, another system that was operating without any oversight until Doge came around. Now all of a sudden the EPA is under control and they're actually clawing money back, billions of dollars, $20 billion they clawed back that was going to all sorts of DEI programs. It's crazy. But Animal Planet, EPA slashes environmental justice grant meant to protect wildlife and communities. And that's what they're crying about here. They don't have much to say, as you can see. There's barely a paragraph here. $500,000 lifeline for environmental justice just disappeared, and no one seems to know why. The EPA has pulled funding meant to help plant trees, clean the air, and protect vulnerable communities in McLean County, leaving local advocates scrambling. Was it politics, budget cuts, or something else? Okay, here's the trick. The reason the EPA is pulling the funding that's meant to protect wildlife and communities is because that's not how that money's been getting spent. If that's where the money was going, probably they'd have nothing to say. But that's not where this money's been going. The money's been getting spent on things that don't make any damn sense. Someone explained to me why Stacey Abrams was supposed to get $7 billion and had that money cut off. And now she's crying about it. Frankie says 15 great big dump trucks, according to John McClain. Yeah, exactly. Raw gold, I don't even think the dump trucks could handle it, honestly. Tuck says bulk gold has to be moved like bulk steel, but with military escort. Exactly. Exactly. And Paul says, keeping my head on a swivel from the People's Republic of New Jersey. Have a great weekend. Glad you could pop in there, Paul. And again, new video went up yesterday on Coffee Talk, and that's the viewer hate mail. And today, a new video went up on Prepper University talking about pantries, because I just can't get over the EU suggesting 72 hours worth of food and water is a, quote, stockpile. That's crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. But again, the EPA slashes the environmental justice grant. I can't even stand the term environmental justice. That sounds like you're making it up as you go. Because again, most of this money has not been getting spent properly. It's been getting pushed all over the place for all sorts of weird DEI programs, like USAID funding gay comic books and drag queen plays and operas and crazy stuff all across the world, funding sex change operations. I thought USAID was supposed to provide food and medicine, which, again, we discussed this at length. Those countries don't get that stuff anyways. You send food packages to some third world country, the government will steal it and sell it on the black market or give it to their own troops, or a warlord will steal it and sell it on the black market and give it to their own troops. The people it's meant for never get it. USAID is a waste of funds, period. Waste of funds, period. And speaking of wasting money, and since somebody already brought it up because they think this is what Germany needs the gold for, according to Tajik magazine, we now know how much Voldemort Zelensky is worth. You ready for this one? You ready for this? Tajik, or is it Tagtik? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I really don't. The salary and family assets of Zelensky has been revealed. And Zelensky says, talk to the hand. He doesn't want to talk about that. He doesn't want to talk about that. But I popped this article open because I'm like, oh, this will be interesting. There's really nothing here. But listen to what they tell you. The press service of the Ukrainian presidency has released the amounts received by the Ukrainian president. Oh, thank God. I was worried. Volodymyr Zelensky and his family earned 15.2 million shitcoins. That's my term for Ukrainian money, which comes out to roughly 340,000 euros. Half of the income comes from the sale of state bonds, while the rest comprises bank interest and rent from private properties. The cash balance of the president's family at the end of 2024 remained practically unchanged, according to the Ukrainian government sources. So the Ukrainian government, in all of its honesty and transparency, came forward and said that Zelensky has about 340,000 euros to his name. You believe that? Anybody believe that? I want to know how it was that his wife was able to spend $1.2 million at Tiffany's in New York when they were visiting here last year. Do you remember that story? Because somebody leaked her receipts. Oh no. Zayfiel says the gold at Fort Knox would take 2 trains of 100 cars or more to haul away if the amount is correct. Tuck says EU subjects should read between the lines and hear 2+ years when the EU overlords say 72 hours. Yeah. 72 hours to me is just hilarious. I'm like, 72 hours. And again, I get it. And I mentioned that in the video. If we're being honest, most people don't even have 3 days worth of food at home in the Western world nowadays, because they don't care. They're not thinking about that. They don't cook. They might have a couple of boxes of cereal and some salad dressing. They maybe a few bottles of wine. They don't have food put away for emergencies, and they should, and they don't, and it's not encouraged. But 72 hours, I mean, that's kind of a joke to me. I mean, hell, tell them at least 2 weeks. Give them a head start. All that is telling people to prepare to continue to be codependent on the government, and then you can get in line and get your MREs and your bottle of water, and then get stabbed when you get out of line because someone's there to steal it. You're not going to get far looking like the average Westerner does with a shopping bag with MREs and a gallon of water. Okay? Someone will kill you for that. Someone will kill you for that. Like in that, what was that one docudrama that was done by National Geographic? Blackout USA, and the dude tried to kill him for a can of peaches. Who remembers that? That was actually a pretty good docudrama. But they're trying to because the Ukrainian press secretary says it, so it must be true. It's only worth 340,000 euros, 347,000 euros. I'm glad we cleared that up, because I was sure he was worth millions, hell, hundreds of millions, the way he goes through money. Once again, when he was in New York early last year begging for funds, which Biden gave him, his wife spent over $1 million at Tiffany's. Must be nice. Must be nice. Incredible. All People says lots of Westerners have been living in their homes in the same manner that they lived in their dorm rooms. In other words, groceries could fit in a dorm fridge. Groceries could fit in a dorm fridge, and you're probably right, because they're not used to taking care of themselves. They're not used to thinking about meal planning. One of the things that used to be part of home economics: meal planning, budgeting, stocking a pantry, keeping it rotated, basic stuff. that they don't teach anymore. They don't teach anymore. These kids can't boil water without burning the house down. And what do you want them to do? What do you want them to do? Seriously. 3 days worth of food, and they'll probably stockpile that by getting gift cards to their favorite restaurants. There you go. Armin says, make homeschooling great again. Thanks indeed. Absolutely. Absolutely. Always homeschool as a first option. Always homeschool as a first option. Cracks me up that that they honestly want to sit there and say that. That's why I did the video. I think it's hilarious that they think that 3 days is stockpiling, but that's how they view people. We got people are lazy now. Lazy. They lack common sense. They can't communicate. They can't communicate. You know, actually, I have something pulled up about that. I wanted to talk about this. It's not a news story. I'm going to open this article. Hold on a second. Because this post was shared on social media, and I said something about it, and I was attacked relentlessly for my viewpoint. They got mad, okay? And this is from Little Things magazine, okay? 1930s flour sacks featured colorful patterns for women to make dresses. This is true. And you can see that there. Sacks companies figured out that you could make, that people were making clothing out of the discarded bags. And they said, hey, here's an idea. We'll put patterns on these bags, right? And the thing that was posted on the social media said that out of the kind of their hearts, such and such company started putting patterns on their flour sacks because people, mostly mothers living at home, were using those sacks to make clothing for their children. And I had commented, and it's a legitimate point, okay? It's also good marketing. It's also good marketing, which it is, okay? Think about it. You're a wholesaler. You bag oats, sugar, flour, wheat in big sacks like that, okay? And you found out as a wholesaler, hey, making clothing, let me close this because my computer's acting funny. The people are using this to repurposing this to make clothing. I got an idea. Let me put patterns on it. It'll help the customers and it'll attract more customers. And it worked. That's great marketing. That is great marketing, okay? Don't you know, I get ruthlessly attacked for that comment. There's always some shithead that has to say something negative. There's always some asshole. Wow, you're a piece of shit. Can you give me a real argument? Can you make an actual point? Can you make an actual point? No, they cannot. They cannot make an actual point. All they can do is insult and attack me because they don't know how to make a legitimate argument. It's really kind of sad. Hi.
Hey.
My wife is here. I'm going to say, there she is, Miss Sunshine. Miss Sunshine, indeed.
Yeah.
I know it is warm. It's in the 80s outside. It is warm out here. But that's the point. If you have a point to make, I can't imagine they just did it completely out of the kindness of their hearts. It reminds me of Shell. I think it was Shell and another like Mobile Gas or somebody in the, I want to say 50s, were fighting for territory in an island nation. I saw a documentary on it. I don't remember exactly where this was, but they were trying to get a foothold in this country, okay? And they were competing. And Shell stumbled onto something. They sent somebody down to feel the place out and talk to people to gauge what they could possibly do to gain a foothold in this country. And the guy that went around noticed that in the houses, everybody had the gas cans. And he was like, what the hell's everybody got the gas cans for? They bought them without buying gas or kerosene or any kind of fluid. They bought empty cans. And he brought that back to Shell. And somebody from marketing was like, well, they want cans, let's give them to them. And they started painting all kinds of colors and patterns and stuff on the cans, sold a ton of them, sold tons and tons of empty cans. And they got the foothold they were looking for in that country. That's just good marketing. Putting patterns on the flour sacks, good marketing. I'm a shithead for that. And you can't tell me why. You just attack me. It's the same as the video I put up yesterday on Coffee Talk with the viewer hate mail. You can't make a point. This is what people do now. Whoever's the most vulgar and the loudest, people feel like is winning the argument, but they don't have anything to say. Puck says, of course, it's good marketing, especially if your competitor is not doing the same. Exactly. I mean, yeah, it's helpful to these people. All people's asking, everybody's asking for you. All people says, we love you, Miss Coffee Talk. You're brilliant, beautiful, and have such a bubbly personality.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she does.
What are y'all talking about?
Well, we were talking about flour.
Flour? Why?
Well, because it's hard for me to move the camera because of Miss Kitty. I'll see if I can turn it. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Because the comments that I was making, I don't know if you were listening on a social media post about the company that used to make patterns on flour sacks because in the Depression, people were using them to make clothing.
Oh, burlap sacks?
Yeah, and I was like, okay, that's just really brilliant marketing.
Yeah.
And I had said that on the post, and I was ruthlessly attacked by a bunch of people calling me all kinds of foul things because vulgar things. Because they were like, oh, you can't just accept that people can be nice. And it's like, no, that's just good marketing. And that's all I said. It is.
That's not being nice. They always put stuff in burlap sacks, and people always made clothes. It's just that they figured it out.
Yeah.
And was like, hey, why don't we make it better?
Yeah.
So they don't look like hobos running around.
If that's a better alternative,
yeah,
you're going to sell more.
Right. And the people are going to keep buying. Keep buying your product. I mean, whatever. If you got one of these worthless celebrities to wear a burlap sack, everybody will love it. Oh, man, that's the best thing idea they ever came up with. You ain't just being nice. No company is just being nice.
No, there's something in there.
Yeah, it's always something for them.
Yeah.
It's never, oh, let's just help the community. And that's one thing that I hate. They ask you now, like the bank. How can the bank help your community?
Hold my money.
That's all I want you to do. You're a bank. When I got my little paycheck, put it in there and leave it alone. When I come in there to get it out, give me my money and don't ask me why you need this money.
Oh, they used to do that a lot in Illinois. Oh,
they
you couldn't take out $1,000 in Illinois. No. Can you fill out this form? Oh, what are you taking the money out for?
Yeah.
Just shut up.
And I told them, this is my money. I can take my money out. I'm going to buy something. That's what they do, though. They want to know why you want your money. What are you going to do with it? Then they try to ask you all nice, like they care and they're concerned. They're not.
Yeah, I was just all, I'm going to go buy crack.
Tell them I'm going to go buy some guns and I'm coming back.
Oh, no. You won't get out of the bank.
No.
Don't do that. Don't do that, people. Don't.
But they ask you that now. You fill out that survey for the bank. How can a bank help the community? What can we do in the community?
I don't care what you do in the community.
Something. Oh, they asked something. It's a social justice question. And I put on the survey, I just want you to hold my money And if I need a loan, give me the loan. That's it.
Yeah.
Hold the money. Give me my money when I come in there to withdraw. And give me a loan if I need a loan.
JJ says the people attacking you over that comment is reminiscent of where we are as a nation today. No civility, plenty of delusional insanity. Incredible. That's the other big one, and the one that the thumbnail was based on was that Elon Musk is still pushing for an audit of Fort Knox.
Oh, he didn't get that through yet?
No, of course
not. There's no
not.
money at Fort Knox.
Yeah. See, that's the theory.
There's no goal there.
The thing is, in almost a century, it's only been visited 3 times. Twice by newspaper reporters.
Did they see the goal?
I'm getting there.
Oh.
But twice by newspaper reporters in 1953 or 56 and like 1973. And then again in the late 90s by the governor of Kentucky was invited. Okay. And all 3 times they had the same 4 things to say. They were weighed going in and out. They saw a gold bar that was for display to show you what a gold brick looks like.
A gold bar.
They saw a double-headed eagle coin. Because there's only 20 known to exist. It's one of the rarest coins in the world.
A means 1.
They were allowed to stand in front of a vault door that was opened, and at a distance, they were allowed to look through the cage into the room.
Did they see anything in there?
They saw what appeared to be gold in the room.
Appeared to be.
Yeah.
CGI.
They didn't have CGI then. Maybe it was a really, really good photograph.
Yeah. You're going to go in there and it's going to be nothing. And then they're going to have to say, where did the gold go? Was there ever any? Because
oh no.
When did they supposedly put it in and then they never put any more in?
I don't know.
Or never took any out?
But nobody's allowed in the building. That's the thing. Nobody can go in. You can't film and you can't photograph. And they say that you can't go in there because it's for safety reasons. But again, there's a military base there with 24,000 troops, heavy artillery, tanks. I mean, it's a full army, full on, like one of the biggest army bases in the country sitting right there. You're not breaking into Fort Knox.
Can the president go?
I don't know.
He should be able to.
He should be able to. I mean, and it's supposed to be the country's gold, but they won't let you see it. And they audit them. They do an audit themselves every year, and they check the boxes, and they say everything's fine. It's fine. We got the money's here.
Yeah.
It's trust us. You trust us?
Nope.
Okay. She don't trust. And that's the argument that I was making. That's what Doge is all about. It's oversight. And all of these agencies, 420 plus government agencies, IRS, EPA, Department of Education, FBI, whoever, name it. They all audit themselves and they all function with no oversight. And that's the problem. That's why they found USAID had audits that showed corruption and discrepancies, and USAID just redlined them and put the file away. And now it's been exposed because USAID's been turned on its ear. FEMA too. They've audited themselves, found problems, and ignored it. Now that's what Doge is for, and that's why everybody hates them. But apparently they're stealing our money. Ask any liberal. Ask any liberal. And while we're speaking of it, I'm running over a little bit here, but that's okay. I'll make up for yesterday because 4 minutes is missing from my stream yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, something I did. YouTube didn't like, and they cut time out of both of them.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they did. They cut like 4 minutes out of the video on both channels. So here's the U.S. debt clock, my favorite new tool. And Doge savings currently at $279 billion.
Wow.
And projected tariffs are at $658 billion.
So are they still going to give everybody that $5,000 check?
They never said they were officially going to do that. They've been floating it. They've been floating it. They would like to do it. I mean, everything should go back on to
that's what I'm saying.
The national debt.
Yeah.
I think the reason they want to give people a partial refund is as a show of good faith.
Yeah, I understand that.
I think that's why they want to do that.
Yeah.
That does make sense.
It does make sense. It would be a good move politically.
Yeah.
I'd rather than just pay the darn debt down and quit bothering me and stealing my money out of my check every 2 weeks.
Well, that's why that's why Trump started the ERS now.
Yeah,
the external revenue service, because the government's going to find other ways to make money and get away from income taxes, because we shouldn't be doing it anyways.
I think the IRS should be held accountable for all the people that committed suicide.
Yes. And I've talked about that before a lot. It's because when I had my tax attorney, he told me that's why he became one. He used to be an agent, and he had one too many of his clients off themselves. You have to be careful with the word.
Oh, yeah. They put themselves in the past.
Yeah. They eradicated themselves, and he started feeling guilty about it. He was like, why do these people keep, doing away with themselves because they're being audited? And he felt guilty. But
yeah, because people, put themselves in the past. They lose everything. They lose their marriages and all of that right there because they're getting harassed, and then they make it so where you can't make money. You got your debt. They take your driver's license. They take your passport. They take your driver's license. You can't drive to work.
They blocked my passport.
They seize up your bank account. So now you can't get money out to pay your bills. Or they take half your check so you can't pay your mortgage or your light bill. And what wife is going to sit there and be like, oh, okay, you can't pay it. You can't pay the mortgage and the light bill, and I'm gonna sit in this dark house until the IRS say you can have your money back.
I knew a guy. One more before I sign off here.
Okay.
When I was working at J. Bildner and Sons, one of the guys there, one of the managers, that was back when we got actual paychecks. And he went and deposited his paycheck at the bank. And when they gave him his balance slip back, it said 17 cents. And he was like, what the hell is this? And he was like, I'm not sure. Let me check. Right. And they got the bank manager out, and he says, the IRS put a lien against your bank account. They seized everything, including future deposits. God. So when he put his check in, it doesn't count the change. Yeah. So 17 cents is what was left. And he lost thousands.
And that should be illegal, that they can take your full paycheck and then say you can't pay you getting all of your money taken away because you can't pay your bills, you can't pay your taxes, but you taking all of my money from me, and I can't work, I can't eat, I can't find a place to live, can't drive my car because I can't afford the gas. Yeah. It's just ridiculous, and that should be illegal. They shouldn't be able to do that. Okay, yeah, you're going to garnish wages, but not the entire check.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like between the IRS and the child support, those are the two agencies I hate the most because they've both been extremely dishonest with me and ruthless, But anyway, with that, we are past the top of the hour. Oh. That's okay. That's okay. So again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find the live portion most of the time at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube on Coffee Talk and Prep University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. And you can find me on, Rumble. Coffee Talk 2 with the number 2. And so I will say thank you to everybody who joined us here today. As always, hope you got something out of the conversation. And we will catch you again on Monday.